Yes, folks, today we have an update on the pre-order situation here in the United States and Canada. One of these updates is just extremely exciting for how potentially easy it may be to get your pre-orders in for those that are panicking, especially in person, but also maybe just in general, as it does appear the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 in the US is going to have the most stock of any console launch in gaming history, and we have some good news around that. We also have a couple potential dates that pre-orders may be going live. One of them coming from the back end of a retailer website. Another one actually coming from a well-known insider who always seems to get retail information early, and the date they give isn't exactly for the United States, but it might as well be after I give you the context behind why that date would apply to right here in the United States based on the fact information on how the system got delayed. So before we dive in, I got to remind you, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 down in the pinned comment or the description, but I know a lot of you guys are on pins and needles here, so let's go ahead and get into the news. First up, we have this post over by Nintendo, who does have sources at retail, and clearly here he's talking about GameStop. According to some GameStop sources, most GameStop stores are expecting around 100 Switch 2 consoles available at launch. These are the stores themselves of note, not online, but games and accessories will be extremely limited. Now, this is the second time we've heard about games and accessories being extremely limited. To me, the big news here, though, is that 100 units roughly per store. GameStop has roughly 2,350 outlets here in the United States. That gives us 235,000 units available for in-person pre-order across all GameStops, roughly. Now you consider GameStop's also going to be taking online pre-orders, both for in-store pickup and for at home. And now you start to think, well, they probably have at least double that, or really, really close to 500,000 units for GameStop alone for launch day of Nintendo Switch 2. And if they have 500,000, Walmart probably has 500,000. Target probably does. Don't forget about other retailers. Maybe Amazon's in on this as well. You have the Nintendo store as well. You start to toss all the retail outlets together, Costco, Sam's Club, and before you know it, we're talking about over 3 million units that could be available day one for Nintendo Switch 2 in the United States. That is unheard of. It's insane, and obviously really good news when it comes to getting pre-orders in. Also, it shows Nintendo is anticipating the demand for this system to be through the roof, and they want to get as many units into consumers' hands as possible, even if physical games and accessories may be limited. Now, we got to dive into the date, right? We have two possible dates we have to go over. One of them comes from Target's back end. Another one comes from a very reliable insider. Remember, right now we have to consider these dates as rumors. We cannot verify this information. I tried reaching out to some retail people I know and haven't heard back. So this is just rumors, but at least it's rumors on when we can actually pre-order two specific dates, both a Wednesday, which makes sense since the original pre-order date was also a Wednesday on the 9th. First, let's go over to Wario64, who says it might be nothing like a placeholder date. That's why I said here. But the Target has their Switch 2 console pre-orders on wishlist backend as going up on April 30th. April 30th is the last day of the month, so it could mean nothing and just be a placeholder, just sharing what was discovered. And I did double check. This is on their back end in the code base. Yes, absolutely. You can see available to purchase, start time. You see 4:30. That is a Wednesday. And so while it is the last day of the month, it could be a placeholder. It also happens to be a Wednesday. So could it release that day? Obviously, that could be a day for pre-orders, and that would explain why it's not announced yet. I kind of projected they probably wouldn't announce it until a week ahead of time, but who knows, right? Like, in the end, we can't know if this stuff is true. Like, I'm just glancing at the calendar right now, and to be honest, if it is that day, if it is the 30th, I wouldn't expect them to announce it until maybe the 22nd or the 23rd next week, giving us roughly a week warning on pre-orders for those that want to like take off work, if you're trying to go in person and all of that. But then we get this other person who is actually a really reliable insider of retail. So not relying on guessing about wish list listings on Target, but somebody who seems to always be in the know and is almost always correct when it comes to retail. And that is Bill Kunn. He came out today to say upcoming release. From what I can see through some Canadian retailers, Nintendo Switch 2 console and bundle, the ones with Mario Kart World, pre-orders should start on April 23rd. He does note the date is subject to change, and he can't confirm if it's the same for the US. I'll keep you updated if things change. So he is saying April 23rd. To me, that means they would probably announce tomorrow the pre-orders going up next week to give us that week run-up. Now, you go, well, that's just Canada. What does this have to do with the United States? Well, why was it delayed in Canada? You guys remember the reasoning given for the delay in Canada? I sure do, because it's right here posted by GameStop Canada. Pre-orders for the Switch 2 in Canada will not start on April 9th in order to align with the timing of pre-orders to be determined in the US. So the entire reason pre-orders got delayed in Canada was so they could actually align the pre-orders with the pre-order date in the United States. That is the official statement from Nintendo through the retailers. So if Bill Kun is true, if this is real, like if he is spot on here, and April 23rd, his sources are all in Canada, that is also likely the date for pre-orders in the United States, which is not this week, but next week, Wednesday. Again, still a rumor. Keep your skepticism. You know that we've kind of been on this whole trip here at the channel of misinformation and trying to make sure that we're not trying to present things to you that are false or trying to present things to you as a fact when in fact we don't know. This is one of those situations where this is absolutely a rumor. We do not know if the 23rd is indeed the date, but what we do know is Bill Kun has been extremely reliable in the past. He's almost always right about anything to do with things releasing at retail and what things are going to release and the dates they're going to release. And if he's hearing 23rd from his reliable sources in Canada, he's probably correct, at least based on his track history. But remember, this is not an official announcement from retail. This is not an official announcement from Nintendo. But I will say, if it is the 23rd, and again, remember, delayed in Canada to align with the same pre-order date in the US, then that likely means it's the same pre-order date here in the US, and also that there should be an announcement before the end of this week. I said I always felt like there would be an announcement before the Mario Kart World Direct, because there would be a big, in the United States and Canada anyways, there would be like a big anchor weighing around that Direct that we can't actually pre-order Mario Kart World or pre-order the dang Switch 2. So this is actually great news if this is true. This to me would mean likely an announcement tomorrow or maybe even during the Direct at the end. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think about this stuff down in the comments below. Again, rumors, but also really exciting stuff if each of this ends up being true, both the amount of stock being available for pre-order and obviously the main date here of the 23rd, but the 30th sort of floating out there as well. Target has the 30th in their back end, but that could just be a placeholder, and this is the actual date, the 23rd, and hey, we'll just have to wait and see. And you know what? If it is the 23rd in Canada, but say it's the 30th in the US, let me tell you something. I'm going to be crossing the old border. I'm about a 3-hour drive away from that Canadian border. I got my passport ready. And Prime's going to be making an old trek over there, getting a pre-order in. Sorry, Canadians, if I'm taking one from someone over there. Look, I need this thing, man. I need this thing. June 5th, baby. All right. I am the Tender Jets from the Tender Prime. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next video.